Gentlemen, welcome back to the reloading bench. It's been a while. Lots of updates, lots of exciting stuff. You can see the surroundings probably look a little bit different from the last video. That's okay. Today we're going through the Barrett MRAD, or the Mark 22. This particular one is chambered in the civilian barrel length 308, which is 17 inches, with a very obnoxious break. We'll get into that. I've also have this chambered in 300 PRC. I'll go through the caliber options by Barrett. They also have maker's kits, so you can pick your own stuff. Why I picked those calibers, why I picked this over an Accuracy International or a Seiko or the many other options available in the market. In the meantime, let's get started. Starting at the rear of the rifle, Barrett has a completely toolless design for adjustment. If you want to adjust your butt height, it's a simple slide up and down by pushing this detent on the back side of the rifle. Length of pull is adjusted by pushing this button on the top and sliding with your hand. Your comb height is adjustable by this knob. Now, it's not just simple twist and let go, because that would be a problem in the field. People would have issues with it loosening over time. It's actually a pick up and twist. And then once you twist it out, it's still got detents underneath to slide to lock into places, and they are numbered so you can mark and remember your number. There's a pick rail on the back here for a bag rider or a monopod. It's very generously sized as opposed to some, which is a lot smaller. I do appreciate that. And of course, it is a folding stock. There's a button on the back side here. You just push it. As you can see, it elevates that. And it is a very firm closing mechanism. I don't see how that could have any play in the future. Overall, as far as buttstock design goes, I like this. I like it better than the AI. I found the AI didn't really fit me as well. It's the new AI one is still great. Truthfully, I picked this rifle over the AI simply because of cost and availability. Moving on up, we've got the receiver of the firearm. Now, this firearm is a little bit different than the other ones in the category for a few separate reasons. Typically, you'll have a chassis and you'll have an action as two separate pieces. In the case of the Barrett, you have this monoblock upper receiver that holds your bolt in place, and then you've got a lower receiver, very similar to an AR-15, for example. Bolt manipulation is very smooth, very easy, and the reason why is, I'll see if I can zoom up so you can see that it's actually riding the bolt in a plastic shroud that when you close the bolt, it actually closes to prevent dust or anything from entering in there. I don't know how airtight it is, but I do know that in comparison to other big rifles like this is probably the smoothest Magnum action multi-cal rifle that I've cycled, including the Accuracy International. Now, it's, of course, this one's not well run in yet, so that's to be seen. What I do like about the Barrett over the AI, when you fire it, it almost helps you open the bolt. Like, it almost throws back that first, 10% of travel or whatever else. The Barrett doesn't do that, but the Barrett does. See if you can see that. See, it kind of like throws forward when you go to close it. I'll do that again just so you can see it. So see, pull forward and see it just really wants to just lock in to place, which I do really like that, because I feel like that having that, help, so to speak, closing the bolt is better than opening the bolt, because opening, I mean, you're just, ejecting rounds, whatever. Positive ejection, it's a single ejector on the bolt head. We'll take the bolt apart and we'll show you that. Disassembly of this rifle is really simple. All you do is you push this button down here, and it actually splits the two receivers apart, and you can pull everything out and take it apart, which we'll do right now. All right, taking apart the receiver, you can see this locking mechanism that locks into that clip down here. This is what actually locks the two receivers together. It's very positive. No play in it whatsoever. It's just once it's locked, it's locked. Taking the bolt out once that's out is as simple as Now, what's cool about this is they actually have a helper built into the bolt that helps you if you accidentally, open the spring. You can actually like close the spring again to allow it to lock in place. Changing calibers is as simple as pulling the firing spring out, and then which takes the tension off this head here. Each of the heads is marked with a number, or sorry, a letter. As you can see, this one's marked with a C. Now that C denotes a 308 bolt face, which you can see here. You can see I've been firing some federal gold medal match there with that nice little blue ring on there. Now removing this bolt is as simple as, or the bolt head is as simple as removing this detent spring here on the front, which of course is held in place by the firing pin spring and the firing pin. Yeah, that's as simple as that. I like this over the Kraken because as far as bolt change out, they really thought out how to change this out. So it's a lot simpler and quicker. And then as well as actually changing the barrel, which we'll get into later. Once you have your new bolt, you simply slide it in the shroud. No need to change the shroud. Keep it open. If I can do this one-handed, we'll see. There we go. Boom. You're done. Gun assembled. As far as the mags go, with the Kraken, you had to change the whole mag well for other chamberings, which was kind of a pain in the butt because it meant an extra piece that you could lose at the range or in the field or wherever you're going to do those mag changes. Barrett did it differently. They have these behemoth mags. See, this one's also marked C, so you can't screw it up. I guess the ribbings on the front here also mean something. So, I think 3 ribs is 308. 2 ribs might be 300 Win Mag, and one rib is like the 338 Lapua family of cartridges. You can see here, it's the bolt feeds through here and picks up dual stack, dual feed. It looks big. It's just because it's longer in comparison to a AICS 10 round mag. You can see they're about the same height. There's not a big difference between the two. Width-wise, yeah, it's bigger. This is also designed for, bigger cartridges, whatever else. Weight-wise, this is a little chunkier. I mean, not much. Not enough that you're going to hate your life or whatever. Mag insertions, nice and simple. Simply just slide in. And you got your, 8K style mag release in the back here with the lever. Once you pull that, boom, comes out nice and easy. Safety, it's AR-15 style safety. The safety actually holds the trigger assembly in place. So if you pop this out with the bolt, with the gun apart, you can actually pull your trigger out and clean it and adjust it and all that sort of stuff. That's a really cool feature. Completely toolless. Don't need anything to adjust it, but maybe a bullet tip. Safety is just simple, a 1/8 turn. So fire, safe. Once there's no position this has to be to take the gun apart. You can do it in either one. Bullet close, good to go. 20 MOA integral rail down the whole receiver. I like that there's not a split here and it's continuous. So you know that if you're mounting any optics or anything clip-ons in front, it's gonna hold the same 0 as this. I went with a Schmidt & Mentor optic on here just because I got a wicked deal on it and I couldn't say no. Magpul grip. The gun actually came with Magpul grip and a bunch of little Magpul rails and other accessories, so I felt it only fitting to throw a Magpul sling on it. They actually came with its own QD mounts, which was nice, and it's got tons of QD points on the actual gun itself, which is pretty handy. Now back to the grip. I mean, you can change this out for an ergo. You can change it out to whatever you want. I don't really care, to be honest. This is comfortable enough. I'd maybe like to get something with a bigger thumb rest. This one's not bad, but yeah, it does its purpose. Trigger weight. Let's ghost this trigger together. There's some take up there until you hit the wall. See, that's the wall right there. It's light. Like this is 3 pounds. you'd be lucky. There's the wall. That's it. No over travel. That's all there is. So there's not much. Do that one more time for you guys. Wall, boom, like that wall, and that wall is sensitive. So like you can see there, like when I'm pulling it there, I'm still not quite used to this gun. Like you can do it gently. Like see, there's that little bit of play there. Once you hit that wall, it is crisp, clean braking, as good as the rest of them. Like you're not going to find or have to complain about or argue with another trigger that's, worse or better, whatever else. This is definitely something you can get used to. It's tunable. You could go lighter if you really want to. I think it's fine where it is. It's, like I said, about 2.5 pounds, which for quote unquote, field rifle, I think is perfect. Moving on up the firearm, typically with these styles of rifles, you have a chassis system that your action mounts into, and your action rail is a separate piece from your chassis rail. In this case, with the solid monoblock, you've got a solid rail that you can mount optics on, accessories, clip-ons, whatever you want, and there's no risk of differentiating angle, any sort of thing. It's the same the whole way down because it's machined all at the same time, which is pretty advantageous. The Cadex wasn't like that. I don't think the Accuracy International is like that. There's very few. I think the Desert Tech is the only other one that's similar to that, but the Desert Tech, they bolt their rail on afterwards. It's not actually machined into the chassis, whereas this is just solid. It's one solid chunk. You can see there's no brakes there or screws or nothing. It's just one solid piece of aluminum. The barrel change system on this is twice as much work as an Accuracy International because it's 2 screws, half as much work as a Desert Tech, and probably 10% of the work of the Cadex. Cadex is it's basically like bringing the barrel vise to the field, whereas with the Barrett, you have the perks similar to the Accuracy International style with the Allen keys. Only difference is you have 2. These are torqued to, it even tells you right on it, 140 inch-pounds. Basically, you loosen these 2 out, open your bolt, pull your barrel out, slide your new barrel in, close your bolt, torque these to 140, you're done, right? So it's a really simple system. How it clamps, you can see on the bottom here, it's got a clamping gap there where it allows for you to add that tension in the receiver to hold the barrel in place. And how they do it is they have a barrel extension that the bolt actually locks into, and that's where the chassis secures the barrel in place. So with these styles, if you're going to get a gunsmith, you actually need the shank to be, I think it's 1 1/4 inch, so that the chassis can actually grip the barrel. Speaking of barrels, this barrel is chonky. You could probably lose a pound of weight with this firearm if you just went to a lighter 308 barrel. It's almost a bull barrel. It's got a slight taper on it and some flutes, but she chonky. The whole forend of the firearm has M-lock on both sides. They provide you with rails, which is really nice. So I used a rail here just to mount this already, this bipod that I already owned. Hashtag Atlas is the best. I had to add a QD mount on the side here for my sling. But yeah, again, I like the M-lock style. You can have a whole bunch of QD points in the front here and whatever else and all that sort of nonsense. But this lets you customize and move around where you want, which you're probably going to do anyways. So that is pretty nice. One thing I do plan on adding here is a small arc rail, which I do already have. So I'm planning to mount that there. And the only reason why I mount that is because I have a tripod with a clamp, and that's what I plan on mounting it in. So muzzle brake, apparently these are annoying to get off. With a 17-inch barrel and this muzzle brake, she barks. She is aggressive. Like if you're beside me on a bench when I'm shooting this, or beside me when I'm shooting this prone, you definitely know I'm there. Canada's got to up their game. I can't use any safety equipment like a suppressor, unfortunately. If I could, you better believe I would have one on this firearm. Yeah, nice, quick, and easy review. Let's get to some shooting. Final thoughts on the Barrett MRAD Mark 22. Shooting it, there's essentially no recoil. It's a heavy gun. This brake is, as I said before, obnoxious. Like it really punches, especially if you're sitting beside it when a guy's shooting. The chassis itself is brilliant. I mean, it cycles great. It's a big, heavy gun, 16 pounds like this. If you had a longer barrel, you're probably 20 pounds all in. Mags are super bulky, which, I mean, again, isn't a bad thing. Just gets you used to handling them. I don't seem to mind them. It's bolt action, because you're running on plastic. It's got a different feel. It's super smooth. Like there's no drag on it. It just wants to slide, which is pretty awesome. If you like that, then that's awesome. If you don't, you don't. But yeah, everything's toolless. That's handy. Safety is nice. That 1/8 turn, which is awesome. Easy to manipulate with one hand. All in all, it's a pretty great gun.